Dark Knight's Death Metal issue 5, naturally. This is Scott Snyder writing, Greg Capullo on art, as we expect. And some big implications in this issue. This is kind of the one that starts to tease what sort of potential world and continuity we might be in come the end of this.
This issue got... The first half was fun metal action, and then the second half was, this is doing interesting things now.
Yeah, the starts... I don't want to downplay it. It's not good because it is good, but it's it's whatever. It's just it's like traditional metal stuff. The Darkest Knight is going to fight Perpetua. He leaves Castle Bat to fight what's left of the Justice League. So there's a lot of fighting with them. Because it's
Castle Bat is cool as shit.
Because it's made out of like everything Batman's ever like assembled. There's red sun fragments.
Everything ever in Gotham.
Yeah, there's red sun fragments, so Superman's like weak against it. There's other materials that are good against Wonder Woman. Stuff from various godlike entities and whatever. It's all fun stuff, and it's actually Lex showing up and using Brainiac tech to shrink it into like a little bottle globe, a little snow globe, which Harley smashes. It's worth mentioning. She just throws it in the ground, smashes it. But that's how that solves. Where it gets interesting, though, is after this, where they're talking to Lex about how to possibly solve this. And Lex is like, okay, I've got kind of a plan, and I realize that no one really wants to listen to me. And Superman's like, you know what, given the look of your face, I'll let you speak. I'll let you at least get your speech out.
What is interesting is, I actually read this wrong originally. He goes, because he actually says, but seeing what's happened to you, say your piece. Because I just knew he was clearly looking at him going, dude, that don't look good. I actually at first misread it as, but seeing as what's happened to your face. and I was like, no, he doesn't say that. Read it properly.
Yeah, I never read that. I was just paraphrasing because that's essentially what he means.
Yeah, but that's actually, I had to stop and reread it because I knew what he meant before I'd even finished the sentence.
But Lex is talking about having to think smaller, not bigger, right? This like fighting Crisis with Crisis Energy or anti-Crisis with Crisis, or whatever. He talks about this incident of him growing up and how he used to always sneak off to the planetarium and he watched this science documentary about the Big Bang and the creation of the universe. But one day he got really shit scared because they had something wrong with the projector and it played backwards, so everything was uncreated and it went back to the beginning. And he talks about how his father reacted when he was scared about this and whatnot, but he essentially says that the attempt to fight the crises with the anti-crisis energy or crisis energy, whatever decides that the peddling is, it should have worked. And the reason why it didn't is because Wonder Woman hesitated, is because she didn't really believe that it could work. And that's why it failed. And ultimately, continuity, and this is where it's getting very meta, because the page that kind of shows this better than anything, it's a really simple way of showing it, is it's the lasso is knotted, and it's like every time there's a crisis, there's a knot, and it gets confusing, it gets complicated and weird, and all we're going to do is we're going to take everything back to the start, and we're going to restart the entire universe, and everything that's ever mattered, everything that's ever happened, for better or worse, will have happened, and we have to accept the simple truth that not everything that we want to have not happened has happened. And there's something beautiful about the context of this issue, and I think this issue justifies why Wonder Woman has been framed as the center of the whole thing, is because it ultimately becomes about truth. And she turns to Superman and Batman and says, Bruce Clark, tell me the truth. And Batman admits that he's been dead this entire arc. That's why the Black Lantern rings are working with him. It's because he's been dead the whole time. And Superman is like, yeah, I've changed, there's no turning back, but we'll fight with you one last time. There's something about the one who wields the lasso, the golden lasso, that makes people tell the truth, that she was kind of almost being ignorant and not really ready to believe what the world was around her, and that they had to essentially, for lack of a better term, turn it off and turn it back on again. And
I love it. It's all about the truth of continuity. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. So they talk about how, some good things will have happened because they were erased, but some bad things that were erased will have happened. And I don't know how they're going to tackle this. Is this literally describing that when we come back in March, everything from continuity in some form will have happened? That
It's possible that this is why we have Future State.
hmm.
Is this is the result of all the shit that this untangles. That's where the world is now, is Future State.
And then once it settles and becomes present continuity, it's because the universe has to sort of right itself into something that's not just fractured like Future State.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Because I do wonder, like, will there be one of the stories in Future State that actually has a bit of like what leads to it reforming? If that indeed needs to happen, maybe it's just a what if sort of thing. But if that is the case, then
it's really interesting because I think we spoke about this when the first solicits came out. Is that it doesn't seem to have a headline book.
no, not a central one. No,
there's nothing that I can obviously point at and go, that's the one where things will happen. You know, it might happen in one of them.
But I don't think it would shock me if there ends up being one that's a bit of a dark horse where it's like, oh, all of a sudden this one book seems like the most important one of the whole line.
Yeah.
It's entirely possible. So then they start forming the plan. And what they're going to use obviously the metal that Lobo got in the one shot last time. And Wonder Woman's like, hey, I need an army. Lobos, the rumors about your regeneration true? And I'm like, oh god, they're going to have tons of Lobos that have all been grown out at various limbs and digits and whatever. But you cut to Superman and he's with like all the villains. Now I think the Joker's a bit of a stretch here because the Joker, even in this situation, I don't know if you'd want to be working with the Joker in any way, shape, or form. But you know, Croc's there, Granny Goodness, Mr. Freeze. At least I think that's maybe Mr. Freeze.
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah.
You know, you get Cyborg Superman's there on the back and all the rest of it.
Penguin. Riddler.
Yeah. He's like, hey, right, so you're going to work with us. We're going to, do something. And he's like, what? You sure? We're not really known for saving the Earth. And he's like, well, exactly. I want to destroy it. So basically, because Earth is the center of, and they don't use this word, but this is essentially what they're talking about. Because Earth is the center of the metaverse, everything's kind of channeling through it. So if it's destroyed, then the Batman Who Laughs / The Darkest Knight can't actually grow his new worlds that he's building to replace everything. And they'll remain in their infancy, and therefore they stand a chance at fighting them. So we get this glorious 2-page layout of Superman with Bizarro, Superboy Prime, and Cyborg Superman. You got Sinestro with some other villainous lanterns, Black Adam, and then on Earth you got Swamp Thing and Abbey Arcade, and they're all basically going to just like start attacking the Earth with all their power to destroy it.
Yeah, you have Wonder Woman with Lex, and you know he gives her the book that we've seen him holding the whole time. You know, since that tease in was that the first issue, and I said, oh, it kind of looks like he's holding out the Book of Destiny, like that sort of thing. And it's not. It's just Carter Hall's journal with just this thorough account of history. Kind of wonderful.
Yeah, and it's interesting because obviously Batman Who Laughs is fighting Perpetua during this point, and during the fight he just turns and goes, wait, those fools, they're going to, because he realizes what they're doing, so he's like, no, he literally sends his planets, the planets that he's building, and then we cut to, a mix of heroes and villains. You got Superman next to Black Manta and Penguin of all people, Batman's there, you got a bunch of D and C listers behind them, you got all sorts of characters.
The ones with Batman are all the dead characters that he's resuscitated with the Black Lantern stuff.
That's a good point. Yes, they are all dead characters. But yeah, you got a whole mix of characters there. You see Clayface at the back, the Duke's up front, a bunch of people. And at the end of the issue is just like them saying, oh shit, there's like tons of planets coming. They've got armies. And we see like an evil Wonder Woman, we see an evil Martian Manhunter that are different to the ones we've been seeing typically thus far. And the final page is where this kind of officially becomes a crisis, or the anti-crisis, because the final page is just all these planets that all look very Earth-like, just swarming the page, and it's like, this is it. And Wonder Woman's whole thing is, at the start of the issue, Robin King was telling her that Wonder Woman on his Earth, made this big speech about fight like there's always going to be a tomorrow, before he, sneakily killed her. And Wonder Woman kind of takes that and says, no, fight like there is no tomorrow, because there kind of isn't, and that's how we're going to win. So it's a big bold ending. I did smile at the last page because it's DC, it's a crisis.
It's one of those issues where even though it's not technically any better than the previous issues, and I say that as someone who's been very much on board with all the issues, But it got to this point in this last few pages, and it just felt exciting. Like, oh, this is a proper event now. Like, this is a proper DC crisis.
Yeah, we're in proper crisis territory, and they've been talking about crisis and anti-crisis since issue 1, and that's been cool. The idea that we're going to attack the idea of a crisis head on with an anti-crisis. That's always been cool, but getting to this last page is like, okay, this feels like a crisis. That feels like we're actually in crisis territory.
And it's been a while since we've had a good crisis, so it's still, even though we've been playing with it for a while, and this event and stuff, like I say, since the start has been playing with the idea of crisis, and we had the one of the one shots that visited a bunch of the other crises, and this one here, it's just finally, it's like, oh no, we're finally doing it. This is now kind of, it joins that pantheon.
Yeah, and I think just to go back to talk about Wonder Woman, her being the center, and the idea of like, her being the one who has the lasso of truth, and the irony of her having to accept the truth. I think on the meta level, like tying that into the metaverse and the meta continuity talk and all that, is that, yeah, this is all about the truth. This is about the truth that, yes, pre-crisis happened, post-crisis happened, Flashpoint, New 52 happened, Rebirth happened, they all happened. Like that is the truth. That's what this is all about. It's about establishing the truth. Yeah. And there's something really meta and wonderful about it. And I don't suspect, DC, you'll find a way of retconning and retconning and retconning for the rest of the time. And that's why, Jeff Johns with Doomsday Clock and the metaverse kind of like just future-proofed everything to say it's okay, that it all matters.
Yeah, it seems like they maybe want to be swapping away from metaverse towards omniverse, but it feels like functionally the same thing.
Yeah, but eventually they're going to retcon again, because they're going to be in the mid to retcon in 5 or 10 years. And at that point, what John set up with the metaverse,
no, what I'm saying is the omniverse, I don't think is any different necessarily from the metaverse. I think they're just calling it something slightly different. But I think it is functionally more or less the same thing.
But that's issue 5 of Death Metal. What are you giving it?
I'm giving it an 8.5. A lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm going to give it an 8.5. Really solid stuff. I think if the first chunk was as strong as the back half, I'd probably go higher, but that's kind of where I land.